a lot of people have seen the viral memes of Utah being Mormon on TikTok, and they don't actually know what it was like to grow up being Mormon and being around the the tan, the SpongeBob tan people with the bleach hair and the khakis in every outfit, very baggy jeans. Part of it I'm a victim of, some of the baggy clothes and stuff, but realistically, I ended up leaving the Mormon church when I was around like 16 years old. It wasn't a hatred thing. I just didn't resonate with it. A lot of people that grow up Mormon, they end up hating it because of a multitude of reasons. I think personally, it's their laziness. They didn't like being forced to go to church, or they had some weird encounter with an adult. And that's also true. There is some weird adults in the Mormon church. I don't think they're all weird, but I think there is definitely some weird ass people that are older. I never liked going to church growing up. My grandma would always wake us up at the crack ass of dawn, and we would always be up late playing Call of Duty or something, and so we just fucking hated it. And then we also didn't like how we had to, force social interactions while we were there. It was very cliquey, so we would just fuck around the whole time, be laughing, and they would be like on our ass, and so we just didn't like it for that reason. But realistically, as I got older and I started to have more questions about life, I started to realize that I didn't actually resonate with this. And it was probably around 16 that I wasn't getting the questions about God I wanted answers to. I started asking questions about God that either people didn't know, or they said we'll talk about another day, or something along those lines. Also, just the fables and the stories just did not resonate with me. They weren't that emotion provoking, except for the ones about Jesus. The ones about Noah's Ark and all this shit, they just didn't resonate. They barely talked about souls and the progression of souls. It seemed that a lot of people were there as a form of social proof. They were there to prove that they're Mormon and they can get along with society. That's how it felt. And it didn't feel like a means to actually get closer to God. And a lot of the people I grew up with were very judgmental that were Mormons around my age range. They were very closed off in their own groups, and I'd have good moments with like a few of them. Like I was pretty close with a few Mormon friends, and I'm not saying this as a whole, but there was just a few people that would be very preserved in their friend group, and they wouldn't want anyone else hanging out. And if you weren't Mormon, they kind of had this like, they didn't like judge you to your face, but they'd be like, oh, he does this too much, like when they have their own conversations. And so they were pretty judgmental behind closed doors. That's I'd say that is the sentence that defines them. They're judgmental behind closed doors, and they kind of radiate that when you're interacting with them. And it felt like anyone who's actually coherent and questioning life and thinks, they would like have this weird energy towards them. And I was one of those people. And so I was always authentically myself, and I feel like they resent that because they can't be themselves. Because if they are, they're shunned away by the church and people from the church. There were good parts about the church. There were a few friends I made that were very funny, and also the best part was the indoor basketball courts. All the Mormon churches have like an indoor basketball court, and they have pickup games that people would go play at. Someone would lock the keys and we'd go play at like 7 p.m. like once a week. I still do that to this day. There's still church runs I play at every week. Fucking awesome. That's one of my favorite parts. There were a few other good moments growing up, like the scouts. The scouts were cool. They had like Boy Scout trips. Like we'd go camping, and there were some cool areas they brought us to, and they, I wouldn't have had those experiences growing up because I didn't have a dad growing up. So I didn't have like those opportunities to go camping, and those actually resonated with me. And I had like one of my very close friends growing up that was Mormon, a part of that scout group. So it was just a really good memory overall. But some of the other people in scouts and just like the other Mormon people, they weren't bad people, but they were just very strange. Like they were the type to like eat their boogers at 15 years old. Like that's the best way I could explain them. They would play with like Legos and fucking just do like nerdy shit. They were nerds. Like TV show nerds, like Diary of a Wimpy Kid nerds. And their humor I just didn't relate to, and they just didn't really have swag whatsoever. So like as I started like getting that, it even pushed me farther away, because I was like, these kids are not funny, and like they're just like really goofy, and I don't know. Like not that they're bad people. I just like they just make me cringe, so I just didn't want to be around them. Which kind of makes me sound like a hypocrite because I'm talking about, but I would say this to them too, because like they literally openly would eat their boogers. Like I just haven't talked to them. I would tell them that. But anyways, yeah. Another thing that I did like was certain Mormons had really good hospitality. Like they would help my grandma out financially when she was in a rut just for like attending church, which I think is pretty admirable. And there was some gift, like they'd leave like gift baskets and like casseroles and shit to like the neighbors in the neighborhood and people in the ward. The ward is like a group of people that go on certain times on Sunday. And so there was like a good community of people that would help each other out, which was pretty interesting and respectable. And they did have good ethics to the most part. Like they're good people in the basic manners way. Like they have really good manners and they're upfront in those realms. But I just personally can't. I think it's just hard to have an intimate connection with somebody part of the church if you're not. And so, like, I don't really even know if they comprehend or digest how other people believe in God. And I know that other religions do that actually pretty well, pretty fair, like Christians and Muslims. And yeah, like I have like friends of those types of faiths that can understand that I'm a part of a different faith, but we both believe in God and we're just on different, like we believe different things that approach it. But I feel like they don't even digest that. That was another thing. It's like, I feel like they couldn't even comprehend something outside of it. It feels kind of like they're more civilized Amish people. Like they're in their own little world, kind of. I don't know how to explain it. One thing that I really do like about the Mormon church is the way they dress for God. So like on Sundays, I mean, I think it's for God. It's probably supposed to be for God. Maybe they feel like it should be that way for other people, but they do dress very professional. They dress modest. They dressed respectable. I really do like that. I think you should take your best care of yourself when you're going somewhere to worship God. And it should be everywhere, obviously, you worship God, but in a home that is for that, like the church or a temple or mosque, whatever, you should be dressing admirable. I think that does show a respect for our Creator. And so I think that is very admirable of the Mormons, the way they dress. They're very uneducated on world affairs. So I don't really know that many people a part of their church that know what's happening geopolitically, that's happening even just outside of their state. And I think it does show up in their humor, and that's why you see the viral BYU interview videos of them just like sounding fucking ridiculous. I've thought about doing those before. I think it would be funny, but they don't really just know what's happening around the world because they're in their own bubble. And so anytime someone flies in here from like California or something, they're like, what is wrong with these people? Not that they don't believe they're kind. They're just like, these people are strange. And they do feel the sense of clickiness. And so I think that it's maybe a challenge for Mormons, like take part in the world more, but aside from your missions, like they go on these missions, but like they just don't like really know how to impact the world at a higher scale. And like if like what is the point of going on a mission these days when like I guess that it's more intimate, but like if we're being real, the best way to do it now is technology. Like no one wants a fucking Mormon knocking on their doorstep in Brazil or like Puerto Rico or some shit. They want to see it on the internet. The online is probably the best way. And so you'll attain maybe a few people as compared to thousands. So I just like, they're kind of like not with the times. And that's just like part of the whole religion. Like they don't really feel adapted to the world. And I think that's just like the best way to explain growing up Mormon is that I don't have animosity for these people at all, but they just kind of feel like they're in their own bubble. And you try to be a part of it. But if you're not really a part of it, like, you know, Mormon, then they don't resonate with you and you just want to get away from them. Like that's just the easiest way to put it. It feels like a toxic relationship where they won't communicate. And that's basically what it's like growing up Mormon and not really believing in it. But I do admire a lot of the traits they have and their faith in God. I don't believe in the same place we get to after this life. I don't believe that their forms of worship are the purest. but I do believe that there is purity within it. So people should probably chill out on them a little bit more. I think the memes are valid, the TikTok memes, but overall, they're not the worst of the people I've met in my life, and they're just very strange and closed off. That is my experience growing up Mormon.